Good evening, thank you for being with us. We're starting on our shul sheets. Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov u'manayim. Oy 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim oy achim gam yachad. Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov u'manayim. Oy 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim oy achim gam yachad. Oy 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim oy achim gam yachad.
Wonderful to have you with us this evening as we bring in Shabbat together. We're going to turn back to our Siddurim, our prayer books, on page 104 for Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ba'uni Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And to begin our journey into Shabbat, for our Kabbalat Shabbat, we turn together to page 112. Yallai, lai, 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 yallai, lai, 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 yallai, yallai, lai, yallai, lai, yallai, lai, yallai, lai, 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 yallai, lai, 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 yallai, lai, 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 yallai, lai, yallai, lai, yallai, lai, 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 yallai, lai, yallai, lai. Yallai, lai, 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 yallai, lai, 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 yallai, lai, 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 yallai, lai, lai, yallai, lai, yallai, lai, lai, yallai, lai, lai, lai. Shiru Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shirul Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shirul Adonai, ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני, ומעולם מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, יאי לי, כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים, ואדוני שהמים עשה, עוד והלאה לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו, עבור אדוני משפחות עמים, עבור אדוני כבוד ועוז, עבור אדוני כבוד שמו, זהו מנחה ובוא לחצרותיו. השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, חילו מפניו כל הארץ, אמרו והגויים אדוני מלך, אף תיכון תבל בל תימות, ידין עמים במישרים. ישמחו השמיים, שמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, שמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו, ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. יעלוז שדי וכל אשר בו, יעלוז שדי, איי 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 איי, יעלוז שדי וכל אשר בו, יעלוז שדי, איי 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 איי, אז ירננו כל עצי, אז ירננו כל עצי, אז ירננו כל עצי, אז ירננו כל עצי, יעלוז שדי בכל אשר בו, יעלוז שדי, איי 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 איי, יעלוז שדי בכל אשר בו, יעלוז שדי, איי 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 איי. לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים באמונתו. I invite everyone to join me in lighting candles this evening if you have them at home, and feel free to place them in front of your camera so that we can see your light, spread the light of your candles into the community. You can find the blessing on our supplement. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. We're on page 121.
Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Shamo v'zacho b'dibor echad hishmiyanu el yichad Adonai echad u'shemo echad v'shemu letiferet v'litila lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nechakim b'kol haverachamei rosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh v'machshav tehila lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Hitorari kiva oret Guli uri Shidaberi Kvod Adonai Alayich nigla Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Boi v'shalom Ateret ba'ala gam b'simcha U'v'tzola hatoch emunei ha'asegula Boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela. And as we welcome in Shabbat, we also especially welcome those who come to this Shabbat in mourning. So to you extend the traditional words of consolation on the bottom of page 123. Hamakom yinachem etchem, v'toch sha'ah ha'avelim. May the ever-present be a source of comfort to you, together with all those who mourn. Page 124, Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat, a psalm for Shabbat day. Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Lehagid baboker chastecha, Ve'emunatecha baleilot.
Alei asur ve'alei navel, alei higayon bechino, ki semachtani Adonai before alecha, b'maaseh yadecha aranen. Ma gadlu maasecha Adonai, me'od amku machshavotecha. Ish ba'a lo yeda, uchsil lo yavin etzot. Bifroach risha'im kmo esev, ויציצו כל פועלי אבן, ושמדם עדי עד, ואתה מרום לעולם אדוני, כי הנה אויביך אדוני, כי הנה אויביך יאבדו, יתפרדו כל פועלי אבן. ותרם כרעם קרני בלותי בשמן רענן, ותבט עיני בשורי, וקמים עלי מרעים, תשמענה אוזני.
צדיק עצמה יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה. שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובון בשיבה, דשנים ברעננים יהיו. להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולתה בו. We invite you to rise with us as we turn to page 127 and the words of the Baruchu.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Continue on our supplement sheets. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreo v'layla, golelo mipnei choshech, golelo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into night. Night becomes day, day turns to
dawn.
Roll into
Roll
dark.
into
Roll
light.
into
Night
light.
becomes day.
Night becomes
Day
day.
turns to
Day
night.
turns to
Roll
night.
into
Roll
dark.
into dark.
Roll into
Roll
light.
into
Night
light.
becomes day. Day turns to night. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
On page 129. With everlasting love have you loved your people, the family of Israel. Teaching and practice duty and justice, these you have taught us. Therefore, our God and guide, we think upon all this before we sleep and when we wake, and rejoice and delight in your teaching and its practice forever and ever, for they are our life and the measure of our days. We keep them in mind both day and night. Never take your love away from us. Blessed are you, God, who loves your people, Israel. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'avta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol mo'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha, shnantam levanecha v'dibata bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha v'derech, uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha, uv'kshatam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha, Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha.
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe le'emor, daber el bnei Yisrael va'amarta aleihem, va'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei vigdeihem ledorotam, v'natenu al tzitzit hakanaf petir techelet, v'haya lachem לתציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תתורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת ואמונה כל זאת, וקיים עלינו, כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואין זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל עמו, העושה גדולות עד אין חקר, ונפלאות עד אין מספר, וראו בניו גבורתו, שיבחו והודו לשמו, ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם. משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לך אנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם.
לפלא, מלכותך אדוני אלוהינו, ראו בניך על הים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו ביצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך, והגן בעדנו והסר מעלינו, אויב, דבע וחרב ורעב ויגון, והסר שטן מלפנינו ומאחרינו, ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו, כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה, כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אתה, ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל עמו ישראל, ועל כל העולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. Please rise with us, if you feel able, as we stand together for the Amidah. Adonai Satai Tifta, Adonai Satai Tifta, Ufiagi Tehilatecha, Ufiagi Tehilatecha. Adonai Satai Tifta, Adonai Satai Tifta, Ufiagi Tehilatecha, Ufiagi
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'Elohei imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Koneh HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, פוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל.
מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני יפה. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני בחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We'll continue our Amidah individually and come back together at the end of the Amidah to say a prayer for healing, which you'll find on your short sheets. The new month of Av, so we have our special blue insertion on page 146.
You'll find our prayer for healing on your special supplements. Say shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael Yoshvei Tevel, V'imru, Amen. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Oh, say shalom bimroha. Say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Oh, say shalom bimroha. Say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Much of the coverage of the Prime Minister's statement on the end of lockdown last Monday evening was summed up with the phrase, "If not now, when?" Though he didn't use this exact language, this was certainly the logic behind the sweeping relaxation of regulations, the move from regulations to guidance and common sense, which will come into effect on the 19th of July. Now, this phrase, which all of the newspapers picked up on, "If not now, when?" Jewishly at least, and as far as I can tell, it really is its first use anywhere, has its origins in a saying from the 1st century BCE, from the sage Hillel the Elder in Pirkei Avot. "If not now, when?" comes as the third part of a very famous tripartite saying, threes being a common feature of Pirkei Avot, as those of us who have studied together have found. The aphorism goes like this: Im ein ani li mili, uchshe'ani la'atzmi ma'ani, ve'im lo achshav ematai. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? And if I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? Now, there was another echo of this aphorism in the press conference on Monday evening. Much of what was announced seemed to be heavily influenced by the first section, Im ein ani li mili. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? The Prime Minister stressed the importance of taking responsibility for ourselves, that we will now have personal responsibility for our own well-being, for making our own judgments about how we interact with a society in which COVID is endemic. But for me, though, the most important part of Hillel's saying is not the first bit or the third bit, but the one that the Prime Minister missed out, the one that barely seemed to feature at all. Uchshe'ani la'atzmi ma'ani, normally translated, but if I'm only for myself, what am I? The articulation that as well as having responsibility for ourselves, we have responsibility for others too. Over the next few weeks, we will begin to open further as a society. And in particular for us, as you'll hear more about over the next week, we will begin in a phased way to bring members back into this building. And as we do so, "Uchsha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani" will be the new saying that we will have to hold on to. "Uchsha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani." It will be important for each of us to think not only of our own needs or comfort levels, but also of others. "Uchsha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani," to think about our personal behavior for the protection of others, not to come into public spaces when feeling unwell, to self-isolate or test if requested. We will need to be careful not to encroach into the personal space of others, for we are all of us in very different spaces right now. "Uchsha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani." More important still, we will need to recognize that for many among us, it is not about comfort yet, but still about safety, still about pikuach nefesh. For those, and there are many more among us than you might imagine, an estimated 500,000 people in this country, for those whose immune systems are suppressed or compromised, this is not about comfort, but about safety. So too for those who are pregnant, those who are not yet vaccinated or only partially so, which for Eilith is about a third of our congregation at least. "Uchsha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani" means that as we open up and enjoy our new freedoms, we need not to abandon those who cannot yet be with us, but must do everything we can to make sure they still feel and are part of community. Now, I've actually done Hillel's aphorism something of an injustice, because the translation that we normally use does not in any way express how strong the text itself is. "Kasha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani" isn't just about keeping others in mind, it's about having them at the very forefront of our minds. "Kasha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani," when I am for me, when I am about me, what am I really? When the driver of my behavior is my needs, my concerns, ma'ani, what am I? When I put my own needs at the forefront above those of others, ma'ani, what am I? When I treat the world or see the world as a mirror for myself rather than truly seeing others, ma'ani, what am I? "Ksha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani" is a reminder that what we want is not necessarily more important than what others need. Now, over the coming week, we will share much more about what it will mean for us to open up this building. We are excited to do so. But we also know that there will be features of the coming weeks which will feel difficult for some. It will feel frustrating, limiting, challenging for those who feel ready and are able to come back into the building. Some of the decisions that we make may seem strange for those for whom the end of this lockdown feels like a release rather than a source of anxiety. There are things that are going to be strange or frustrating. Behind me, the new Zoom screens and the cameras. The continuing need, almost definitely, to pre-book. Possibly being asked to pre-test or having a temperature check on the door. Still being asked to wear a mask for part of the time at least. That most altruistic of acts, uncomfortable with limited benefit for oneself, but fundamentally concerned with protecting those around us. All of those things may feel difficult as we begin this journey of opening up. And kasha'ani la'atzmi ma'ani, when I am about me, when I care about those things, ma'ani, what am I? We need to look beyond ourselves as we go through this new bit of the journey together. Im lo achshav eimatai, if not now, when? Absolutely now. We are desperate to welcome members back into this space especially. Now is good. Now really is good. And yes, im'ena nili mili. Ultimately, everyone will have responsibility for their own safety, for their own decision on whether it is right for them to return and into what settings. And we will do everything to make this space as comfortable and safe as possible so that the majority of people can choose to return. And also we have a broader responsibility, the continuing responsibility to respond to the needs of others, not to leave anyone in our community behind, to recognize that the risk is still there, to still be accessible to all online, to make space for one another. We have the enduring responsibility to see the world through each other's eyes, each of us doing what we can to protect and respect those around us. For as Hillel said, "Kashe'ani la'atzmi ma'ani," when I'm only for myself, what am I? We're going to turn to the Aleinu on page 310.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tegru l'aliot sebereshit, asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notei shamayim ve'yosed haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim imal, u'shchinatu zo, v'gofhei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emed malkeinu efes ulato, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
And on page 313, Al Kain nekavelecha Adonai Eloheinu, lirot mehera b'tiferet uzecha, l'haveh gelulim min haaretz, v'haililim karot yikaretun, l'taken olam b'malchut Shaddai, v'chol b'nei v'asa yikru v'ishmecha, l'havnot elecha kol rishei aretz, yakiru v'yedu kol yoshvei tevel, כי שותפים כולנו בתיקון עולמך, כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Eilith is a community built on a foundation of mutual care, in which we share one another's joys and sorrows and accompany one another through our life's journeys. As we turn to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 316, we regret to announce the deaths this week of Michael Harold Courtney, father of Deborah and Lisa, and Jonathan Paul, brother of David and Suzanne. And we think of all those who are in mourning in the Shiva, in the Shoshim, in the Shana, those periods of mourning since the death of a loved one. and we wish strength to them. And we wish good memories to those who are marking the anniversary of the death of a loved one this week. And we think particularly of Roman Alice, Clive Barwell, Joe Benvenista, Roberta Blank, Lillian Balsam, Bessie Cohen, Regina David, Primrose Downham, Oscar Fisher, Peter Freen, Joseph Glatter, Derek Gold, Raymond Green, Jack Harris, Sylvia Henry, Danny Iglinski, Eileen Isaacs, Hannah Jacobs, Willie Kessler, Hugh Lavelle, Laurie Lipson, Vera Marshall, Samuel Miller, Richard Mitzman, Claire Packer, Anne Shepherd, Lois Simon, Goldie Stanton, Dorothy Tesler, Colin Van Gelder, Ivan Weston, Leonard Wolfman, David Wolfe, and Marek Sverbil. I invite anyone who's in mourning this week, this day, to join me in reciting Kaddish, and for everyone else to respond with the responses in bold as we stand to support our community. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ba'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dichol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach leolam u'lalmei almaya. Yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit pa'al v'yit romam v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit alei v'yit halal. Shemei di kudesha berichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Di amiran ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav. Hu ya'asei shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol ha'olam. V'imru. Amen.
And just as we stand with those who are in mourning, so we also celebrate with those who are marking joyful moments. So on this Shabbat, we especially want to send our best wishes to our colleague Tamara and to Anna, who are getting married on Sunday. A huge mazel tov to Gary and Rachel Lippman on the birth of a grandson, a son for Georgia and David. Mazel tov to you. We also wish mazel tov to 3 young people who are going to mark becoming bar and bat mitzvah tomorrow. You can join Layla and Miles, who are going to be reading Torah for the first time in our 9 o'clock in the morning service. You can also join online, that's online, and you can also join online with Maya Abrahams, who's going to be reading Torah for the first time at 2:30 in a mincha service. In between those things, you can join us at 10:30 in here, where Rabbi Hannah is going to be leading our service, or at 11 o'clock, I'll be in the Sukkah leading Kolot, which is now full, but you can also join Kolot online. So please do join us tomorrow. And then through next week, as I said, we will tell you much more about how we will begin to reopen this building over the coming weeks. There is something that we have not yet mentioned, which is happening this weekend. We're going to turn to page 320. We're just going to sing the first and last verses of Adon Olam. I'm very, very sorry for what's about to happen. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem kol yetzir nivra. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem kol yetzir nivra. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem kol yetzir nivra. Le'ein נשא כחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם אדון עולם אשר הלך בטרם כל יסנברא בידו על כדרוכי והייתי שן והעירה ואמרוכי גבי עשי אדוני לי ולא ירא אדון עולם אדון עולם אשר הלך בטרם כל יסנברא אדון עולם השם הלך אדון עולם השם הלך בטרם כל יצא נברא אדון עולם השם הלך בטרם כל יצא נברא אדון עולם השם הלך בטרם כל יצא נברא אדון עולם השם הלך בטרם כל יצא נברא. I don't think I've seen that many, oh thank you, Rachel and Gary applauded at least. I've not seen that many scowling faces on Zoom for the whole 16 months. Let's turn to page 452 together as we welcome in Shabbat, or sing a sanctify Shabbat with the words of the Kiddush. ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קדישנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
Shabbat Shalom, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to welcoming you back in here in person soon, those who feel able to. As I say, more about that in the week to come. But for now, we are going to unmute everyone so you can speak to one another, and we wish you Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.